That didn't work out. Uh-oh. Yeah. Alright, so obviously we need to charge the battery. It's getting low. And let's go try these new chargers out, see how they do. This is not completely dead, is it? Yeah, it's getting close. So I don't have a beeper on this one, so I don't know how close I am, but it's pretty close. I can tell by the throttle. So let's go play some chargers. Today we're going to talk about some new chargers I just received. Don't normally go nuts over chargers when I see them, but I was pretty stoked about these. They are the iSDT SC-608. This is an 8 amp charger on a 3-cell battery. This one is the iSDT Q6 Plus. Just right off the bat, first thing I really like about this charger is that when you plug in a battery to the taps, it'll immediately give you the voltage reading without even being plugged into the main power cord. So, you know, if you're just at the field or whatever, and you're like, did I use that battery? I don't know. So you can plug in and say, yeah, that I did, or I did not. It's fully charged. Some of the things that I don't like, I'm going to say a lot, on this 14 amp charger, I said again. When I received it, I noticed that it had, this one actually came with these connectors, I believe they're something 60 from Hobby King connectors. Then they had these really cool little plastic grippy things on. I thought, man, that is just awesome. I can't believe this company did that. Until I put it together and stuck it in there and realized that if it didn't have that, getting it out would be just brutal as hell. You'd have to pull it by the wire or something like that. So that's why they did that. On this other charger they've had out for a little bit longer, you know, they're sticking out far enough where you can pull them out and stick them back in. Oh, never mind, it's the battery side. Either way, that was the only thing I noticed on this Q6 was that I think when they designed it, they weren't really thinking about how deep they got it in there before. So if you're actually plugging your battery in, I don't have one of these connectors, so I use the Dean's connectors. But I can see an issue of, you know, plugging your battery in and then having to pull it out, and you have to grab the wires and yank it, and it's just not a real healthy thing to do. So they do include 2 of these yellow, whatever they're called, in the holders with it. So because I'm using the Dean's connectors, I just basically used it to make an extension to go to a Dean's. And I also, when I connect it to my charger, my power source, whatever, I also use a Dean's connector to power that up. Everything I use is that. So, there goes that again. So if you were to purchase this charger and you got these connectors with it, I would suggest, even if you're planning on using this type connector for your battery, to make a short lead or a long lead or whatever. And so it won't be such a pain in the butt to plug it inside. I mean, you can put your battery in here, you can put your taps in here, and charge your battery at the field. It's no big deal. So the other thing I would suggest doing is purchasing, if I could get, wrong way. If I could get this, where was I? So another thing I would suggest is buying a taps extension piece. You can get these from anywhere, Hobby King, eBay, Buddy RC. That's where these came from. They're pretty sweet, nice. Silicone wire, so the real hard wire stuff. But by doing that, I mainly fly with 4-cell batteries. I don't fly a lot of 3-cell. And so a 4-cell battery, obviously, in a 4-cell tap will just plug right in, and you're ready to go, and gives you the readings and stuff. So, but a 3-cell, you can also plug into a 4-cell tap. Eventually you remember which side it is, but if you screw up and plug it in the wrong side, you'll see 2, 3, and 4 is come up in the tap. Oh, that's wrong. You just pull it out and plug it into not going to hurt anything. So to me, it's convenient just to have 4-cell taps on everything with the extensions. And also, if you have this in a box or somewhere where you don't want to just try to plug it into the, I mean, it's a pain in the butt. Some of these taps are really short. To get the taps in there and to get the battery in there, just be friggin' brutal. So I do suggest buying a little bit of 16 gauge, 16 gauge, 14 gauge wire, whatever you want to go with, and making yourself an extension to come off either unit. I mean, both of them I have the extension on there because it's just easier to deal with. So if you have this in a case, you can charge outside of the case. Have your battery sitting out and charge them over here. So what else do I like about the charger? Once you get going on it, once you start a charge on it, I need to find something I don't mind charging up, because all these things are discharged, so I can show you some charge times on and how they work. I'll get back to that in a little while. So let's talk about how to power your charger. You can go with your car battery. The cool thing about the this charger that I do like is it gives, oh crap, let's see, let me go back. So if you hold the button down long, it'll take you into the system settings. So let's say you bought a little 5 amp computer power supply, or you had one sitting around the house that was rated for 50 watts. You could take your max input power, click that, and drop it all the way down to 50 watts. And then you lower that, you're kind of screwed. But this works good if you're using like an old computer power supply, like a laptop power supply that has to be a 5 amp that does 50 watts or whatever. And that'll limit, no matter what input you put in there, it's not going to draw any more than 50 watts. So in our case, I've got plenty of power to do that with. The other cool thing is minimum input voltage, the next one down. Let's say you're out there in your car and you want to charge off your car battery. It's not a really smart thing to do because car batteries are just not designed to do that. But you can set this thing at, let's say, 12 volts. And then if the battery itself got down to 12 volts, it would shut the charger down, and you most likely would be able to crank up your car again. If you want to be really safe, you can set it to 12.5, but it may not charge very long at all, because most resting batteries in a car are 12.6 to 13 volts. So I think if you went down to 12 volts, you're most likely going to be able to crank your car back up. And then if push comes to shove, you can take your charge battery, hook it up to this, rig up something hooked to your car, and use this thing to charge your car back a little bit so you can crank it up. But that's a little bit off the hook a little bit there. So I'm going to go to the other thing you can do is kind of cool. Let's say you're at the field and you're flying, and you're not going to fly for a couple weeks. You want to discharge a couple of your batteries. Well, you can unplug your power supply or whatever, take you some batteries that you're done flying with that are fully charged, plug them into the charger, charge your small batteries off of it until it gets down to 11.5 volts, which is a pretty good resting voltage. I think see 3.7, 14. I can't do the math, but it's probably around 11.5 volts for a storage voltage for your pack. So you could, in a pinch, use a big pack you have sitting around to charge a couple small packs with. So where were we? So we're talking about ways of powering your actual charger. A cheap way of doing it, you can go on eBay and you can buy one of these. These are about $18 to $30. It is a 12 volt, 300 watt power supply. It says 300-12. In my case, I went outside and I had an old outdoor light, that you use, like that I left out in the rain, and it got screwed up and it just didn't work anymore. So I just cut the stupid wire off of it and, went ahead and made a power, because it doesn't come with a power cord. So you've got to pretty much make your own power cord. So if you do this, remember the green one is common, N is the white, and L is the black. I had to look that up because I'm stupid. So, and then you have a couple rails here that you can plug 12 volt. I get 3 12 volt plus, 3 12 volt negative. And you also have a current adjuster down in here where you can actually, once you set your voltage, you can set it up to almost 14 or 15 volts with this particular one. I left mine at 13 volts. So that's one way. These cost about, let's say $20, and it's 25 amp. In theory, if you were charging 3-cell batteries, you could use both of these chargers. One is a 8 amp and one's a 14 amp. You can run these things at full power. I did it yesterday with my little watts meter, and I got a 270 watt draw out of a 300 watt power supply. So, you're pretty much in the safe zone. Now, if you were doing some big batteries, like 6-cell batteries or something like that, I don't have any, so I don't know how much they would pull. So another way of doing this is with a HP power supply. This sucker is a 75 amp power supply, and it will, you have to do a little stuff. You can look up, let's see, what's it called? I'll put it in the description, but the DPS-1200 FB-A. This you can get on eBay between $22 and $30. It does not come with a power thing, but it's just a basic computer stuff you might have sitting around the house. So you can go onto eBay and buy one of these cords for $2 shipped. And the only other thing you have to do is you have to buy a 1K resistor and wire it into the, I don't know if I can read that or not. My glasses, when glass, I can't tell. The first one and the fourth one, you just solder this 1K resistor, and this tells the power supply, okay, you can turn on, you're ready to go. And you got these two big rails, you just solder on whatever connector you want. 75 amps, and this thing does not run the fan until it gets under a good load. So it's quiet on your workbench, you don't have to listen to it run all the time. This $25 one, the fan runs all the time. It's not annoying. In fact, we'll just plug the damn thing in. We'll plug both of them in. What could go wrong? Alright, that one's this one, so the fan's running. Let's unplug that one to show the other one. Right. This one plugs in. No fan running. Can you even see that? Let me see if it's on the camera. Yeah. So this one, no fan runs until it gets under a decent load. So it's nice and quiet. So let's not plug this one on yet because it's going to be annoying to listen to it the whole time. So either way, fan runs. No weird thing you have to solder into it. You just basically, stick your wires into there. And you got a 25 amp power supply. I mean, physically, this is actually a smaller unit here too. It's not even as big. I mean, it's smaller in every way, but it's 75 amps. I mean, it'll power everything you could ever dream of. So back to the review. All right, so things I do like about that. So you get minimum power input, which is good for that if you're charging off a. Here's another thing I built. This is, people look at me crazy when I pull this thing out, but it's basically 4 5,000 milliamp 3-cell batteries. You can see anywhere to see this, and then 2 3,500 milliamp LiPo batteries. These are all batteries that I've been using. These are like 4 or 5 years old. They have the they have the capacity. They just don't have the output power. They don't have the. They can't put out a constant 70 or 80 amps that I used them in. They started, just dying like that. But they held the power. They had 5,000 milliamps of storage, and so by putting all these together and buying this adapter, there's an adapter inside of here that I bought from Buddy RC that has 6 Dean's connectors that go down to 1 Dean connector, and then buying this taps where I plug all 6 taps into it and it comes out to 1 tap. It makes one 28,000 or 28 amp hour LiPo battery, and this is what I take the field to charge with if I'm not flying like really big stuff. And I can, 28 amp hours. If you had 24 amp hours, that's good for 10, 11, 2200 milliamp 3-cell power, pack recharges. I could charge this 12 times with this. So, it's something to do if you've been in RC for a while and you got a bunch of LiPos that are just not quite up to have the balls to really, come across. You can just stick them all together and make a little field pack out of it. Other chargers I've been using in the past are iChargers. I really trust them. This is an iCharger 206B. It does 20 amps. This one does 14. This one does 20. This one does 8. I also have an iCharger 106 that does a 10 amp charge. Very, very durable charger. Never had a problem with it. You just use it. It does not give you the voltage reading when you plug up the battery, which I really, really, really like. I mean, like it enough that I'm going to go ahead and probably shelf these for a while and start using these to make sure they're going to hold up. And also the display is extremely bright in this, so in direct sunlight. So we're talking about cell count, stuff like that. So it automatically figures out the cell count for you. So, oh yeah, I was going to put a battery on here. I can't put Puffmeister on there. Okay, we'll just put this on here, pretend like we're charging a 3-cell, or we won't be pretending we're actually going to be charging a 3-cell. And wrong slot, right slot. So once you start charging, so I just plugged up the battery, I want to charge. I know I've got it set to the right amperage, which I really probably don't. It's on 14 amps, it's a little bit high for this battery, but we'll let it roll for now. So let's go back. So once you plug in your battery, let's say you're always running the same size battery, you always have it set to, let's say 7 amps to charge or whatever it is. You just press it twice, 1, 2, and it'll go right into charge mode. We're not going to let this run very long because I'm I want to do a test on this battery because it's just discharge. But you can move this and it'll give you the IR settings of the battery, telling you how good or bad it is. It'll take a minute for it to do that. And this gives you just a general overall, how many watts it's drawing, how many watts it's putting in, the temperature, and all this stuff, which I haven't a clue what that is. So I'm going to stop this charge now. And so while we're here, let's go ahead and just do a discharge. And now you can hear the fan run and all that kind of stuff. So back, start. So discharge will take it down to 3 volts per cell, and it's kind of a handy thing to have. Also, if you notice the screen colors are changing, that's another really nice thing about this charger is when you're charging, hope this fan isn't too noisy. It's not really noisy. It's not annoying right here now, but it's running. So the other neat thing about this charger and this charger both is that the screen colors change depending on the task you're doing. If you're discharging like we're doing now, it turns pink. If you're doing a storage mode, it turns another color. If you're charging, it turns a color. And then once it gets down to fast charge, it goes into like a little trickle charger. I've never had a charger to do that. So let's say you're flying at the field and in the screen, oh screw it, let's just do it. Stop. Let's do the charge. So charge and start. Crap. Start. So it goes to orange. I'm going to stop it real quick. Once it goes from orange, it'll go to either blue or green. I can't remember. It'll go to, and it'll say fast charging is done. That means you can go fly. It's just that it doesn't have that last little 1% of the battery in there. So it changes to another color and then stays there for a few minutes while it just brings everything right up to 4.20 volts per cell. Most chargers will get to the charge done, they're done. You'll have 4.16 volts per cell. Not a big deal. You're talking about 10 more seconds of flight time. It's not a big deal. But it is cool that it actually does that. And then it'll beep and it's completely done. So it'll sit there and just keep the battery right at 4.20 volts, which is, again, I've never had a charger that does all that stuff. So what else do we need to talk about? Let's go ahead and discharge this battery so I have something going on here, which is fun. And so I'm going to do a charge of a 1.3 amp hour, 1300 milliamp battery on oh crap. Oh, let's talk about some C rating stuff too. Okay, so C rating is in a nutshell, this is 1.3 amp hour or 1300 milliamp battery. A 1C charge in this would be 1.3 amps. These particular batteries, again, can take up to a 10C charge. So in theory, I could charge this at 13 amps and not, in theory, hurt it. I won't be doing that. I usually run about a 3 to 5C charge on all my batteries, no matter if they're graphenes or if they're Zippy. Zippy compacts, I believe they're good for a 3C, maybe a 5C charge. And other batteries have, in the old days when we first started LiPos, they had a 1C charge, man. If you had a 2200 milliamp battery, you charged it at 2.2 amps. If you did any more than that, it was going to blow up and everyone's going to die and, the world was going to end. But recently, the batteries have gotten better and people have realized you can charge them at higher rates. And so if you do a 3C charge on a 2200, it'd be 2.2 times 3, which would be 6.6 amps. That's going to charge in about 20 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go the Gusto, I think, and we'll do a what should we do here? I want to show the charge rate on. All right, we'll do on this 8 amp charge. We'll do a full 8 amp max charge on this battery, and a 5,000 milliamp battery to show the times that we're talking about. Compare those to the times on this. It's going to take a while. I'm not going to make you sit there through the whole charge. We'll just do a start and an end, and I'll show the times, and we'll get an idea on that. And then we're also wanting to do a comparison of charging 2 identical 2200 4 cells on one on 7 or 8 amps and the other one on 14, which really only comes out to about 11 once it's going for whatever reason. I have no clue. But to get an idea what the difference is on, why do you buy a faster charger? And while we're on that part, I believe in higher charge rates, like 3C charge rates, and lesser batteries, because batteries wear out. They go crappy after a certain amount of charges. For me, on an average battery like a Zippy compact or a Zippy regular or some of the Turnigy's, I get about 100 to 150 average runs before I kill the battery or it's not good enough for me. I tend to be very rough on batteries. I take them all the way to their full C max, meaning I run them at 70, 80 amps when they're designed to do 60 or 50 amps of discharge. So I kind of abuse batteries, and because of that, I have to buy them kind of often. Every year or so, I have to buy new batteries. Now, the new graphene batteries, I've been running these for 10 months so far. I've seen no degradation on them at all. First battery I've ever had in my life that actually seems to be holding up well, even under a lot of abuse. I'm not going to sit here and endorse this battery. I'm not going to endorse any battery because they all suck. In my mind, they should be able to last for 10 years and never have any problems. It's never going to happen, or I don't think it's going to happen. But so either way, why did I get onto this? So my thought is, if you buy a higher amp charger, a charger that can charge this battery in, let's say, 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and you could buy 3 batteries and almost fly indefinitely with 2 chargers, as opposed to buying 10 batteries and no charger, or 10 batteries or 5 batteries and 1 charger that won't keep up. Especially if we charge at 1C, it would take an hour per battery to charge, and if you fly a flight every 10 minutes, you'd have to buy 6 chargers and 7 batteries, this and that. So I personally believe in a higher amp, and please don't comment me to death and saying you're an idiot. I'm probably am, but either way, I believe in having less batteries, and higher amp chargers, so I can kind of continuously, in theory, fly with less batteries, because they are going to go to crap before you know it. So chargers last forever, or last for a while, longer than a battery, let's say average. I believe in spending a little bit of money on your charger. I had a Hobby King charger to start with, and I did have a fire because of that particular charger, and I destroyed it with a hammer after it almost caught my shop on fire, and I actually sat there and watched it do it. So never charge your batteries unless you're physically there. You can be in the room, you can be doing something else, you can be fixing your quad or fixing your airplane while your batteries are charging, but do not leave your batteries on charge without being in the near vicinity. And I also suggest owning a fire extinguisher, which I have in my shop now after I almost burned it down with my Hobby King crap charger. Now, I'm not saying that all Hobby King chargers are crap. All my friends have them. Nobody's had a problem. I'm the only one I know that's ever had a problem with it, and it was on a 2-cell battery, and I was just basically doing what I'm doing here. I was discharging it down, and it beeped and went to a 3-cell charge without me touching it. And I thought, oh, that was kind of, I must have done something wrong. So I unplugged it, plugged it back in, started that sequence of discharging the 2-cell battery again, walked over to the other side of the shop, and I was working on something else over here. I heard beep. I'm like, what is that? And I look over and I see this battery just start to swell like a balloon. So I run over there, grab the battery, and I throw it out of the shop. And it's like 24 feet to the end of my shop. It goes outside in front of my shop. It takes off like a bottle rocket, hits the deck above it, and comes right down into a area where I keep my oil bucket, my oil, what do you call it when you empty your oil into an oil pan? And I store it over there, and a little bit sometimes drips out in the ground. Well, it just happened to land right into the spot that had a little bit of oil on the ground. Shame on me, I know I should never do that, but it was accidentally a tiny bit that got on the ground. And of course it caught fire, so I'm out there stomping with my feet and cussing, and then I grab the charger and I beat it to death because I don't want to ever use it or sell it to somebody that might burn down their shop. So either way, that was my only problem I've ever had from a charger, and it happened to be one from Hobby King, and it may have just been that one stupid setting. But after that, I went and bought the iChargers. I went to try to find something that was very, very reliable. I've never had a problem with iChargers doing anything stupid like that. So, and I'm hoping not to have a problem with these doing something stupid. But I have no clue where we're at in this review. If we can call it a review, it's more of a rant and a talk. But I do so far really like these chargers, and I like their physical size. They're so small compared to the iCharger. I mean, these two are basically similar in power and stuff like that. So this one's huge, and these are real tiny. So I'm thinking of making these two kind of my like take out to the field and charge while I'm out there. I mean, this thing's monster. It's heavy. Obviously it's physically a lot bigger. So I'm thinking this, my Frankenstein LiPo pack would make me a nice little charger, and I can see it in the daylight and sunlight because it's so damn bright. So, little kitty. So I'm going to do some charge time tests, and I think I've covered everything as far as power supplies and all this kind of. Oh, the other thing you can do for a power source, you can go to Walmart, or if you own a camper or own a boat that has like a a marine type battery in it, those things are designed to charge and discharge down to 50% and back up with no problem. They're about 80 to 120 bucks depending how big a one you buy. But if you go to Walmart and buy their cheapest, I think it's a Group 85 battery, it's probably less than $100. It'll give you a usable 50 or 60 amp hour discharge before it's needs to be recharged. So you can charge a crap load of batteries off that, and then take it home, put the charger back on it, put a trickle charger on it, let it sit overnight and charge itself back. It's a little heavy to pick up through your car, but that's what I did for years. I took one of those batteries with me to the field, and that's what I charge off. I never charge off my car battery unless it's like 1 pack or 2 packs, because car batteries are not designed to deep discharge. It's very, very bad for them, and they'll go to crap real quick, and you'll be buying a new $100 battery for your car every year, which would suck. So let's do some charge times and see what kind of charge times we're talking about. Maybe I'll do it on both charges to get an idea. Or now let's not go over 5C charge. How's that? And that will keep it all fair. And we'll see what kind of charge times we get out of these things. And then I'll do a charge against the 2200 4 cells and see on full charge, because these will handle all the power I can put in them. See what kind of time difference we're talking about. So let me get that all set up. Alright, we're just about done discharging these 2 batteries all the way down. This one's done. Oh, there you go. That one's done too. Okay, so I'm going to do a 5C charge. So on this 1.3 or 1300 milliamp battery times 5 is 6.5 amps. So I'm going to press a button. I'm going to go to task, charge, battery lipo, cell count, and I'm going to take this value down to 6.5 amps. And we're going to go ahead and hit the start button and get that one rolling. This one is a 2200 milliamp. Oh crap. Oh, is that right? Yeah. So 2200, 2.2 times 5 equals 11. So we're going to go 11 amps in this one. So I'm going to press a button and go to charge. Cell count is 3. Current setting is going to be, what the hell happened? 2.2 times 5 equals 11. So go to 11 amps. In theory, this thing will handle twice that, but either way. So I'm going to start task. And we're going to let these run at 5 amps, and I'll come back to you and we'll see what kind of times we're talking about running at, 5C, and see what kind of times we're talking about having. So, okay, we're about 5 minutes into the charge. Something I was going to point out to you is it does have a graph showing like it's 81%. This one says it's 70%, charge. If you go to the second screen, and that's these numbers are changing all the time because these were a little bit lower a little while ago. But these second screen numbers are your resistance, internal resistance in the battery. The lower the better. Pretty much anything under 10, you're pretty much okay. And where this comes in handy is if you have a battery that's kind of acting weird and doesn't seem to have its full charge, and you go into this screen that says cell 1 is at 22 and the cell 3 and 2 are 3 or 4, then you got a bad cell, and it's just you're screwed unless you can turn into a 2 cell or a 4 cell down to a 3 cell. I don't have that desires to do that. But and then the fourth screen, which is our third screen, which is kind of interesting, is this is the amount of watts it's drawing from the power supply. So 140. This one's pulling 83. If you multiply that together, you get, what, 220-ish or so? And that'll tell you kind of how much power you're going to need. If you bought a power supply that's good up to 300 watts, as long as those two numbers were under that, you're kind of okay. So we'll keep going. Something else that's interesting is these have a temperature. The fans have come on only one time. See, that one just came on just now at 60 Celsius. The fan will come on and run for a second and turn itself off. This one hasn't come on yet. And they're both running, well over half their stated ability to charge. So this will turn off in just a second. I think it's about 56 Celsius, maybe 55. And come on. Alright, I don't know. They usually turn off. Either way, it's interesting though. The fan comes on when it needs to cool off. So there it goes. There we go. Okay, we're getting near the end of the cycle. They're all tapering down. We got 420 across the board, and these chargers are just slowly dropping their amps down to you know, a taper charge. I'm going to fast forward at some point right before the screen changes colors when it goes into the fast charge is done. Right now this is charging, and get ready. Here comes the fast part to the next thing to show you the screen change, and go. Okay, there goes that screen. So it turns to green and goes to a fast charge done. We're at 14 minutes and 10 seconds to charge that battery. And so now it's going to do a slow, it shows 0 amps because it's just not trickle charging any at all, but there it goes, 0.2, 0.3. So right now it's just trying to get it back to 420 and maintain that 420. But if you go fly it now, you're good to go. You're going to pick up 10 seconds more flight time if you let it go through this whole green cycle, which I'm going to let it go through and go to the other screen. But that was 14 minutes and 10 seconds to charge this at 5C. And there's that one. 14 minutes and 44 seconds, and it's into its fast charge done. Now it's doing its trickle charge. And those screens will change. Just to show you the screen change, I'm going to hold my finger to know where I'm going to fast forward, which is now. Okay. That took about another minute for that one to go to its complete charge done. Don't know about this one, we'll see. Okay, so both of them are done. This one took about 5 or 6 minutes to go to the blue screen. So these batteries were, and that's the annoying sound I was telling you about. That you can turn off on this one, you can you can have it just do it one time on this one, but this one, you can just turn the volume way down or turn it off completely. Either way, it's annoying. So let's do the 5000 next. So it was 14 minutes and 44 seconds on this one, 14:10 on this one. So at a 5C charge rate, you got, you know, you could definitely keep up with flying. My normal flight time is between 6 and 12 minutes, depending on what I'm flying. So I don't even have to charge it at 5C. I could probably charge at 3C, and if I had 3 batteries, I could probably fly continuously. So let's do the 5000 on this one, and I won't be able to do a 5C charge, but I'll be able to do about a 3C charge. Let's see how long that one takes. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start the 5000. I'm starting it at 14 amps, and we're hitting go now. Okay. All right, we are back, and making sure everything's recording. Go. Let's fill over. So it looks like it took 26 minutes to do a 5,000 milliamp battery. That's not bad. I mean, that's definitely beats the crap out of taking an hour to do it. So, so for fun, we're going to do the 1400s next, and I'm sorry, we're going to do the 2200 milliamp 4 cells, and we'll do a little race to see which one does it faster. Because I figure we got. We'll max out the amps on both of them, which will be 8 and 14, but for some reason on 4 cell they don't charge as hot as they do on 3 cell. So I don't know if it's a firmware problem, because I did the math and this is supposed to be a 300 watt charger, but yet it only do like 11 amps on 4 cell. So, but we're gonna make sure everything is right. So current is, let's go to max current, which is I think 8 amps. It won't do it. This one's max current is already set. So we're going to start, and let's see what they go up to. So I don't know why this one isn't doing a full 14 amp charge, unless it does it this time or not. This one will do about 7 amps. I think it comes up to 6.5, 7 amps on 4 cell. But at 7 amps, we're basically doing 2, 4, 6. We're doing about a 3C charge, and at 14 amps, we're going to be doing a 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, doing about a 5 or 6C charge on these 2200 4-cell batteries. And again, we can check their doohickey, and the light went to that. Check their IRs, and we can check how many watts we're pulling, because this is going to be the hardest pull we've done. So this one's coming out in 6.6 amps. It's pulling 110 watts. This one's only pulling 161 watts, so I'm doing a 9.7 amp. So I don't know why it's not charging at 14 amp. It should be capable of doing that, but it's not. So we're going to let these bad boys run and see what kind of times we get on them. For folks who are just doing 2200 milliamps and lower batteries, I think this SC-608 charger would probably be just fine. I do some bigger stuff. I go and I fly some 5,000 milliamps in my airplanes, and I've got a 4,000 milliamp for one of my quads. And so I'm going to probably end up with 2 of these at some point, I'm thinking. And but let's let this run, and then I'm going to do a fun, fast, hot charge on that little 1300. We're going to do a full 14 amp charge on that 1300 because it says it can do 10C. And let's just for giggles see exactly how long that takes. So I hope I'm not boring you guys. Sorry. Okay, I changed my mind. I'm going to use the same batteries for both chargers. So on the 14 amp charger, the Q6, it did it in 15 minutes and 33 seconds. I'm going to discharge this and do a charge on the other charger next. Okay, while we're waiting for that other battery to discharge, I'm going to do a hot charge on a 1.3 milliamp, 1300 milliamp battery at 10C, which would be 13 amps. We're just for fun. I've never done a 10C charge, but you know, let's give it a shot just for fun. Okay, we are 5 minutes and let's say 6 minutes in the charge, and it's kind of coming near the end already, and it's the battery's cool. It's not hot or anything. It feels perfect. I've never done this before, so it's the first time for me, but it's starting its taper charge already, and 1.15 amp hours out of a 1.3. It's getting close, so we're at 6 minutes and 21 seconds. Okay, we are done with that charge. It was 7 minutes and 34 seconds. I don't recommend this, but just for, you know, it's my crap, so if I blow it up, it's my fault. But battery's cool to the touch, and it took the graphene's the only battery that I know of right now that can take a 10C charge. I don't plan on ever doing it again, but it was interesting that we did that in 7 minutes and 34 seconds. So, whatever. So I'm going to do the other charge as soon as the other battery's done discharging, but it's still going. Alright, let's go ahead and do the other 2200 4-cell. Oh, this one. And we'll compare it with the Q6 and see how it does in time. Alright, this one's done. It took 23 minutes and 46 seconds, so about, and it's been making that friggin' noise ever since. And I could hear it all the way across the house. I was talking to my mother-in-law and father-in-law, and they're like, "What's that noise?" So we were in 2 rooms away. They could hear that beep. So we'll be killing that one. So in what do you call it when all's said and done, I think for my purposes, even though on a 2200 4-cell, this one took only 9 minutes more than the bigger one. I think I'm gonna, for $10 more, I'm gonna personally go with a pair of these for my own use. Some of the design things, let me shut this one off, and I'm just gonna pull the plugs and this stuff real quick. And yeah, that would really, if they didn't have that little end on here, it's gonna be a pain. But some of the crap. So on the bottom, this one has a fan right here, and vent here, and a vent in the back. The only thing I don't really much, jeez, it's still beeping. And yeah, let's see what you do now, huh? Yeah. Oh, sorry. So with this one, it's got the fan on the bottom, fan here. So if you hard mount it down, it'll still draw air through here and expel air through the side, but it's not going to be quite as good. Where this one, if you hard mount it down, it pulls air from the front, front, and shoots it out the back, and that looks like it. So I think as far as design goes, this is better for flat mounting. Like if I Velcro it to something to permanently kind of mount it to a box or whatever. Where this one, I'd almost want to raise it up a little bit, like put a couple rails underneath it and raise it off the surface so it'd have good airflow. So I think, you know, if you want to save $10, get this one. It'd be good for 2200 milliamps and down. It does have a better way of plugging in. You can plug in stuff and pull it back out. So I mean, it's definitely got enough room to do that. Where this one, if I were using it as a charge port and plug this in here, it really doesn't leave you. I guess you could. I mean, you could get it to come out, but it would be harder than this one. So if you put a lead on here like I did, make a charge lead out of it, then you know that stops that issue. And then plugging just taps in the side probably wouldn't be a big deal. Let's see. So I think that's right. I don't see so. Oh, I'm upside down. Either way, it's a pain in the butt. I don't like chargers you have to plug into the side of them. There we go. So it's not a big deal, but you know, once you get that and you try to get the plug in there, it's just going to be rather a pain in the butt. So I like building charge leads, and all I would require you to do is buy a pair of these in the case of this one, and whatever you come out to, and then some wire. 16 gauge wire should be fine for, you know, sub 20 amp load. So that's kind of my take on it. I think you should buy a good charger, and time will tell if these are really good, because, you know, iChargers are several years old and they've never given me any problems. You know, I don't know how well these will do. These may break in 6 days. I plan on using them constantly from here on out as much as I can, just to see how well they do. But that's kind of the end of my. I know I'm really long-winded, but I don't like people doing reviews where they take it out of the box and look at it and go, yeah, the button feels really great. That's the other thing about this one. It's got top button, so you can move it. This one you have to, if it was Velcroed down, you could probably, no problems doing stuff. But just like that, if I want to push it, I have to physically grab it and hold it to do that. With this one, I can roll it, push it, if that makes sense. So that's the other reason I kind of like this better, and it's physically not much difference in size. So I'm going to probably put a couple of these on my website, and if you guys want to buy them, it's great. And that's about it. So I hope I didn't leave anything out. And again, I do charge at higher rates than most people do, but you know, I know there's people out there going to say I'm an idiot, so that's fine. But either way, I'll let you guys go and have a great day.